All right, so get this. Picture a place that's like swallowed ships whole, messed with compasses since, Columbus. And it still gets those scientists debating with, well, let's just say the more imaginative folks.
Right.
That's where we're diving today. The Bermuda Triangle, you got those sources prepped.
I'm ready.
Because we're about to separate fact from fiction and hopefully leave you with even more to ponder.
What always gets me about the Bermuda Triangle, even now, it's how it captures everyone's imagination. This perfect storm of, real events, speculation, they all just blend together. It's unsettling, but also kind of fascinating, don't you think?
And that's why we're here. We've got stories, studies, historical records. I mean, you name it. It's like piecing together a puzzle where some of the pieces might be from a completely different box.
And that's the key. You can't get the full picture by just looking at the science or just the crazy stories. It's about looking at both, seeing where they overlap, where they clash, even.
Okay, I love that. But before we get to the theories about underwater cities and whatnot, let's start with the basics. Where exactly are we talking about on a map? Most people probably picture it way smaller than it is, right?
Absolutely. Most people hear Bermuda Triangle. They think of this little area. But it's Miami, Puerto Rico, Bermuda itself. It's huge. 1.5 million square kilometers, at least. Bigger than some countries.
See, now that's what gets me. It's not some tiny blip on the map. People are constantly cruising through this area, on vacation even, which that just adds another layer to it, don't you think? We're talking popular tourist destinations here, not exactly, uncharted waters.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? These aren't forgotten corners of the ocean. So it makes you wonder about those strange events even more. Plus, the stories go way, way back. It's not some new modern myth.
Didn't Columbus, have some weird experiences out there?
He did. Back in 1492, right on the edge of what we call the Bermuda Triangle now, Columbus wrote about his compass going all haywire near the Bahamas. Now, we can speculate about what caused it, but it shows that from the beginning, people were already linking this area to strange events.
Columbus and compass troubles. Already sounds like the start of a good mystery. So how did it go from there?
Well, you jump ahead to the 1600s. You've got shipwrecks, English settlements in Bermuda. It's always had a colorful maritime history, you could say.
So, by the 1800s, was there already this idea of it being a particularly dangerous, maybe even cursed place?
While the name Bermuda Triangle wasn't a thing yet, the 1800s had disappearances that definitely fueled the mystery. The USS Insurgent in 1800, the Bella in 1854, ships vanishing with barely a trace. These weren't just one-offs, people were talking.
Right, so these spooky events that were starting to pile up, was there one specific incident that really made the Bermuda Triangle the legend it is today?
A lot of people point to the disappearance of Flight 19 in 1945. That's the one that really captured the public's imagination, made it into the enigma we're talking about today.
Flight 19, the big one. I think most people have heard bits and pieces, but for those who haven't, walk us through it. What happened?
Picture this. December 5th, 1945, 5 Navy Avenger torpedo bombers take off from Fort Lauderdale. Routine training mission, the weather's perfect, experienced crew. Lieutenant Charles Taylor, their flight leader, he was top-notch. The kind of pilot you'd want if things went south, which,
sounds like things did go south.
They did. First hour, totally normal. They fly south, do their practice bombing runs. Then things get weird. Pilots start reporting their compasses are acting up, they're lost, disoriented. And these are Navy pilots trained for emergencies.
And that's what's so creepy, right? These weren't rookies, yet they were completely turned around.
And you can hear it in their transmissions. Taylor's voice goes from calm to, urgent as he's trying to guide everyone back. But they're flying in circles. Then silence. The planes, they just vanish.
It gives me chills just thinking about it. They sent a search party out, though, right? What happened to them?
And that's the really unsettling part. A PBM Mariner, massive seaplane, 13-man crew, they're sent to find Flight 19. And get this, minutes after they join the search, they disappear from radar. Gone.
You're kidding? That's like a nightmare within a nightmare. So what's the official explanation? What happened to 6 planes and all those men?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? After all these years, despite tons of searches, not a single trace of Flight 19 or that Mariner has ever been found. No wreckage, no debris, nothing. It's like they just vanished. Poof.
Okay, Flight 19 alone is enough to spark endless theories. But it's not the only incident that's fueled the Bermuda Triangle legend, right? There are tons of other stories, even more recently.
Oh yeah, there are plenty more. Remember the USS Cyclops, that huge cargo ship that disappeared in 1918? Over 300 people gone. No distress call, no wreckage. Still the biggest loss of life ever linked to the Bermuda Triangle.
300 people, it's hard to even imagine. Really puts it all in perspective. But this isn't all, like, ancient history, right? Haven't there been more recent incidents, too?
Absolutely. Even with all our fancy tech and, knowledge of the ocean, the Triangle still makes headlines. Like the SS El Faro, a cargo ship, went missing in 2015.
Wait, 2015? I remember that. It was huge news. I just didn't realize it was a Bermuda Triangle thing.
Right in the thick of it, the El Faro ran into Hurricane Joaquin, lost with everyone on board. It's a reminder that even today, with GPS, satellites, all that, the ocean can still be unbelievably dangerous and unpredictable.
Sobering, for sure. Okay, so we've got this pattern of, let's call them interesting, events in the Bermuda Triangle. Now for the part, I know everyone's waiting for explanations. Give me the science, give me the speculation, lay it on us.
All right, let's do it. And you're right, the explanations are all over the place. Some are pure science, like those rogue waves, underwater methane eruptions, even Earth's magnetic field plays a role. And then you got the unexplained. Extraterrestrial theories, time distortions, things like that.
Okay, underwater methane eruptions. That's like straight out of a movie. Tell me more about that.
It's wild. Picture this. Vast deposits of methane trapped on the ocean floor in this icy form, methane hydrate. And sometimes these deposits can rupture, releases huge amounts of methane gas into the water.
Sounds explosive. But how would that affect a ship, let alone a plane?
So methane is lighter than water, right? Big release like that could make the water way less dense. A ship sailing over one of these eruptions, it could just sink, like instantly, before they could even send a mayday. There's even a theory that these eruptions could affect planes flying overhead too. If that released methane reaches the lower atmosphere, it could mess with the engines.
Now that is wild. Okay, exploding underwater gas.
Yes.
What about these rogue waves? Those have always seemed kind of mythical to me.
Like something out of a legend, right? These huge solitary waves could be over 100 feet high, just appearing out of nowhere. And for a long time, scientists, they thought it was all sailors' tales. But then, 1995, the Dropner wave was measured off the coast of Norway. The thing was massive. Confirmed that these things are real. Imagine the damage that could do to even the biggest ships.
It's terrifying to even imagine that kind of force. You mentioned the Earth's magnetic field, too. Is there something about where the triangle is that would mess with compasses and navigation?
Right, so the Earth's magnetic field, it's not perfectly uniform, there are variations. In some places, like the Bermuda Triangle, compasses can be slightly off because of magnetic declination. Basically, it's the difference between true north and magnetic north, and it changes depending on your location. Not a big deal with today's GPS, but back in the day, even a small error could throw a ship way off course. Could even lead them into dangerous waters.
So a ship thinks it's heading one way, but because of this magnetic quirk, it's actually going somewhere totally different. Makes sense, especially for the older incidents. What about those weird hexagonal-shaped clouds I've heard about? Those are connected to some intense weather, right?
Ah, yes, the hexagonal clouds. Those are a fascinating piece of this puzzle. They're relatively new to us. Scientists discovered them using satellite imagery. Not your average puffy clouds either. These are geometrically shaped, they form over the ocean, and get this, they can create these powerful downdrafts. Some are calling them air bombs.
Air bombs. Okay, now we're talking. How do those affect ships and
Right.
planes?
Think of these downdrafts like concentrated columns of air just slamming down into the ocean, creating super localized but really intense winds and waves. A ship caught under one of these air bombs, it could easily be capsized. And for planes, you're talking sudden loss of altitude, potentially a crash.
So we've got rogue waves, exploding underwater gas, and air bombs disguised as clouds. These natural phenomena are starting to sound like something out of a disaster movie. But I gotta admit, part of me wants to hear about the more, shall we say, unconventional theories. What about the ones that venture into the unexplained?
I get it, the unexplained is always tempting and keeps us guessing. And with the Bermuda Triangle, those theories are a dime a dozen. We could spend hours talking about everything from aliens to, like you said, time warps.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. Aliens, underwater bases, let's hear it. What are some of the popular ones out there? So we're going full on like X-Files mode now. Give me alien abductions, underwater bases, all of it.
Well, if you're looking for aliens, the Bermuda Triangle is supposedly a hotspot. Some people think it's like prime real estate for alien abductions. Ships and planes just plucked out of the sky, never to be seen again.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Makes you wonder what they'd want with a cargo ship, though.
Right, unless it's not the ships they're after, but something inside. Or maybe they're not coming from above, but below. Some folks believe there are like underwater alien bases down there. Their tech messing with our stuff, causing all these weird disappearances.
Now, that's just cool to think about, like an underwater Area 51. Speaking of ancient and mysterious, we got to talk about the lost city of Atlantis, right?
Yeah. Of course, you can't have the Bermuda Triangle without Atlantis entering the chat. Some believe that Atlantis, with all its advanced tech, it's down there somewhere. And whatever energy or, I don't know, power source made it so advanced, it's still messing with things today. People point to stuff like the Bimini Road, which are these weird rock formations underwater near the Bahamas, as proof.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's like an Indiana Jones movie waiting to happen. Secret cities, ancient tech, give it to me. But we can't forget about sea monsters. There's got to be some giant kraken in these stories somewhere, right?
There's always a sea monster. And the Bermuda Triangle has the Lusca, supposedly hangs out around the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
People describe it as this horrifying shark octopus thing, sometimes with like squid tentacles thrown in for good measure.
Yeah.
Some say it's the Lusca that's dragging those ships down.
All right, now that's just creepy. We've gone from exploding underwater gas to alien abductions. But you saved the weirdest for last, didn't you? Time to talk about the time stuff.
Ah, yes. The theories about time warps, wormholes, places where the fabric of reality is a little thin, that's when things get really interesting. Like a glitch in the system, right here in the Bermuda Triangle.
A glitch in the system. Okay, I love it. So are we talking like full-on time travel here? People claiming to have jumped through time in the Bermuda Triangle?
Oh, absolutely. Bruce Kernan, he's a pilot who said he flew through a time portal in 1970. Flew from the Bahamas towards Florida. When suddenly there's this tunnel-shaped cloud, he flies into it, which already that's a choice. And he claims he experienced time distortions, ended up near Miami way faster than it should have been possible.
Hold on, wait. Tunnel-shaped cloud. Time distortions. That's either one heck of an excuse for being late or... yeah, that's just wild. But Gernon's not the only one with a story like this, right? There are others who say they've experienced something similar.
Oh yeah, Helen Cascio, back in 1964. Flying a small plane, also near the Bahamas. Same thing, confusion, weird clouds, and suddenly she's over the island she was heading for, but deserted. Like she'd traveled back in time or something.
Okay, my head is officially spinning. We've got enough theories here to fill a library. Plausible science to stuff that sounds like it's straight from a movie. So what's the answer? What's the truth about the Bermuda Triangle? Is there even one?
That's the thing about the Bermuda Triangle, isn't it? It's a place where, even with all our technology and know-how, we're still left with questions. And that's what makes it so fascinating.
You know what, maybe that's the whole point. The Bermuda Triangle isn't about getting a straight answer. It's about being okay with the mystery. It reminds us there's still so much out there we don't know about the ocean, about time, about, well, everything.
I like that. It's about being open to the possibility that some things just might not have an easy explanation.
Exactly. And I'll admit, as much as I love a good scientific study, there's a part of me that loves those what-if questions. What if those stories are more than just stories? What if the Bermuda Triangle really is this weird, unexplainable thing? Makes you think.
It keeps things interesting. And hey, who knows? Maybe one day some new discovery will completely change how we see all of this.
Wouldn't that be something? Well, until then, I guess the Bermuda Triangle will keep right on fascinating and, let's be honest, freaking us out a little. But that's half the fun, so next time you're thinking about a tropical vacation, maybe think twice before sailing through the Bermuda Triangle. Unless you're feeling adventurous, of course. You never know what you might find out there. This has been an awesome deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and as always, never stop being curious.